On September 22nd, 2024, I took part in the 40th Kyoho no Oka Road Race in the quaint town of Makioka, Yamanashi Prefecture. I ran the 20K, though officially it's 18.3K, and finished with a time of 1:42:16. Here is how it all went down. Pre-race preparation. To avoid the hassle of a long early morning train ride, I stayed overnight in central Kyoho and took the 8:01 train to JR Yamanashi Station. There, I caught the shuttle bus to the race venue. A good night's sleep in a comfy hotel left me feeling refreshed and ready to go in the morning. Even though I arrived at the bus pool in plenty of time, the shuttle was delayed, which meant I got to the venue just 20 minutes before the scheduled start. It was a mad dash from there. Still, I couldn't resist snapping a few photos of the lively start area before getting changed. After picking up my bib and quickly changing, I barely had 5 minutes to spare before making it to the start line. The energy in the air was electric, as everyone geared up to tackle one of the most challenging courses in the Kanto Koshin-Etsu region. The race begins. At 9:40, the gun went off, and we are off. The streets were lined with spectators, cheering and snapping photos as we charged ahead. The first challenge hit fast, a steep downhill, followed by a brutal uphill. Within minutes, you feel the burn in your legs. Your breathing gets heavier, and the temperature feels like it's rising. It's like being in a sauna. Here's a look at the race's elevation map, which speaks for itself. It's brutally hilly. For pacing, I broke the race into 4 5K sections. First 5K, warming up. The first 5K serves as a warm-up. If you are used to sub-5-minute splits, you'll need to add about a minute for each kilometer. The incline is that steep. There are some downhills along the way, and if you're lucky, you might catch a glimpse of Mount Fuji. Unfortunately, today was overcast, and Mount Fuji stayed hidden behind dark clouds. I focused on conserving energy on the uphill and staying steady on the downhill, making sure not to push too hard early on. 5K to 10K, the climb. As the course split between the 10K and 20K runners, the real climb began. The 10K runners veered left downhill, while we 20K runners turned right straight into another uphill. This section was a grind, with a steady climb leading to the highest point just before the 10K mark. My strategy here was simple: shorter steps, higher cadence, and keeping my eyes on the ground ahead, not the endless hill. This approach worked, and I reached the 10K mark faster than last year. From here, it was mostly downhill, except for 3 key climbs ahead. 10K to 15K, surviving the wall. After a steep, winding descent, I hit the first big uphill of the second half, a straight incline that feels like running into a wall. By this point, your legs are feeling it, and it's tough to maintain a fast cadence. You just have to grit your teeth and push through. But after conquering that hill, you are rewarded with the longest downhill stretch of the race. Most runners surge here, myself included, though I held back a bit. My minimalist shoes don't provide much cushioning, and the pounding downhill takes a toll on the quads. Plus, I knew two more punishing hills were waiting for me at 15K and with 1K to go. I was overtaken by quite a few runners in high-tech shoes on the descent, but I stayed focused. My goal was to run the race my way. 15K to finish. The final climb. Section 3 ended as we turned onto a narrow street, and the toughest hill of the race loomed ahead. A brutal, few hundred-meter climb. Most runners slow to a walk here, but I was determined to keep running. This race isn't just about testing my fitness. It's training for even bigger races ahead. To my surprise, the runners who had passed me earlier were now struggling on the hill, some walking, while I managed to overtake them. But once we crested the hill, they surged ahead again on the downhill stretch. The final push. The runners who had passed me earlier slowed on this final climb, and I gave it everything I had left. I passed a few familiar faces, including some of those runners in carbon-plated super shoes. Once I reached the top, I didn't look back, focusing on the last 800 meters. No one passed me after that final hill, and I crossed the line feeling proud. My official time was 1:42:16, the 7th fastest time in my 12 years running this race. Not bad for a 58-year-old who once had a meniscus tear. The Kyoho grapes they handed out at the finish were out of this world. Definitely the best post-race treat I've had. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing all the citizen runners up there again next year. You all inspire me to keep pushing and giving it my all in races. I can't thank you enough.